moment. Good, we're recording. So the way the session is going to go is that I'm going to be doing a bit of an interview because Rick Sensei has so much to say. We want to get to some of the essence of what he has to share with us. And after a bit of an interview, we are going to have an experiential class or section that Rick Sensei is going to lead us in. So first of all, welcome, Rick Sensei.
Hello, everybody.
Great, good. So Rick Sensei, you started training when you were young, when you were a kid, and you started training in karate and were even teaching as a teenager. And then you got into Aikido, I believe at age 21 with Toyota Sensei in Chicago. So just want to get a little bit more of your background and what spoke to you so much about Aikido, especially after your background in karate?
I guess as part of my background, I grew up in, I can say, violent area sometimes. My mother was like a gypsy, so we lived in a number of different places, but sometimes the areas or the places that we lived were kind of violent. And I grew up in Inglewood in Chicago. And I only knew anger for anger, violence for violence. And at first I didn't like Aikido. I thought that it was, it was too soft. But when I got 21, it started speaking to me differently. And what I learned was that I had very little control of myself. And Aikido was a way for me to learn how to control me. I knew a martial art, but I didn't have control. So Aikido spoke to me in that way, but it also spoke to me from a Christian standpoint. It spoke to my Christian beliefs because the philosophy of resolving every situation in the most harmonious, peaceful way, bringing the least amount of harm to my attacker was so much in line with what I believed. It was about how we treat people. And so I wanted to be that person that was able to teach someone or help someone to see the error of their ways. And so that was really speaking to me at that time.
Well, that's so interesting. Well, another really interesting thing to me as we've been talking is that you worked for quite a long time in the financial services sector in the corporate world as a, in mortgage services and consulting, you ran your own firm. And then you left that world in the late 90s to devote full time to Aikido, where you developed Pathway to Harmony, but which is, obviously a lot less lucrative when you got into working with Aikido full time and moving into the nonprofit realm. So if you could talk about that, what you were doing before and to make that choice over 20, 25 years ago to devote full time to your work through Aikido.
Well, it's kind of like I was evolving. Yeah, I had been in the business world, in the corporate world. Actually, I was in mortgage servicing, and I had worked for Freddie Mac. Then I started my own nationwide mortgage servicing consulting firm. And like you say, it was lucrative. But this was during the late 90s, and there was so much going on here in Chicago. Back then, there was, at that time, we called record high levels of gang activity and crime. I had a teenage son. And, it's bad enough to think about, I'm just thinking about it, just gets to me because at that time I was so worried about him getting caught in gang crossfire or gangs or somebody, and so I was looking at how do you change this? And it was about changing people, and I looked at Aikido as a vehicle for me to be able to help change the world. And so that's how Pathway started. I talked with my pastor and to make this big decision to leave something that was, as you say, lucrative, to go to something that was, I knew I was going to be working in a community, not making much money. And I just asked God to send me people that I could help and send people that could help my program. And he hasn't failed to do that yet. And so that's how it started. That was the genesis of it, trying to find a way to stem violence. But the other thing, and I really want to touch on this, is that I viewed then, and I still view, what causes a lot of the violence in our communities, what causes a lot of ill in society is stress. Because the people in the neighborhoods were stressed in so many different ways, stressed at home, stressed with what's going on in the community, stressed economically, stressed, and stress was killing everybody. And so Aikido for me, what it had done for me, how it had changed my life, I just felt that it could, I could use that to change other people's lives in dealing with stress.
Well, there's so much we could go into there. I'm really interested in kind of the receptivity that you've found in the community. So, for example, I've had experience working with Aikido in the Middle East, which is very stressful and very violent. The conflict and what people live with daily, or in Ethiopia, for example, I know Taekwondo, karate kinds of arts there's been more receptivity to that. It's kind of coming along going, oh, well, this philosophy of Aikido or nonviolence or being centered, and, is that practical? How has that been received
Well,
in the community?
For me, it's been
And
received.
has that been a struggle to find receptivity to
No.
Pathway to Harmony programs?
On the contrary, it has been really embraced. First, I'm going to make sure that people understand that all of my students don't come from a bad background. And, they're inner city, but like with everything, you have really good families, 2-family homes. You have single parents that are raising their kids. They're going to college and they're doing everything right. Then we have those pockets, those things that are happening where, people are living, under tremendous amount of stress, and that stress is helping them to do ill will. They're not taking care of themselves, and that frustration, that anger turns into violence a lot of times. As far as how it's received, from almost every organization that I deal with to the parents, Aikido is received, it is highly embraced because everyone wants to get to that point where they can resolve situations without conflict. And so when I'm talking to them about Aikido in their daily life, not the physical side all the time, because I'm talking and showing them that as an adult, you rarely get into a physical fight, but you're in a psychological battle every single day of your life. And your ability to make disciplined decisions is what's going to determine your quality of life. So everything that's created by Pathway is about helping people to enhance their quality of life. Parents understand that. Business people understand that. The religious leaders that I deal with, I understand that. The politicians, they understand that. They understand that if you can find a way for people to enhance their quality of life, then we change the world. And so for Pathway, the Pathway to Harmony program, it was set up, it was designed to do just that. It's a motivational life skills program that's designed to empower youth and adults to take control of their lives. That's through through developing their physical skills and their non-cognitive skills. We have so many kids that are smart as I don't know what, but the non-cognitive skills will keep them from. So learning how or developing their interpersonal skills helps them. And so that comes through them first learning on the mat. In Aikido, this, there's no kicking, punching, and sparring without a reason. There's no sparring in Aikido for the most part. And so parents, they look at this and say, you don't have to spar. They're not worried about kids getting hurt with the sparring, but you're not promoting violence. You're saying, work with me. How do we work together? So getting 2 kids or 2 adults who maybe, 2 teenagers who maybe come from different organizations, gang territories or whatever, but now they've got to be on this mat and they've got to work together. They've got to learn how to blend.
So the stress management skills, the empowerment skills, the relationship skills from Aikido you share, and maybe you can give us a clearer idea of some of the elements. I know you've mentioned even more to me that you bring into the Pathways program, and also kind of who do you partner with, or where do you deliver these programs?
Well, the Pathway to Harmony Aikido program was me teaching Aikido. And it started in 1997. But by 2006, so many things had changed with what we do that I incorporated and became Pathway to Harmony, Inc. And that was set up with the purpose of dealing with stress, apathy, frustration, anger, violence, helping people to minimize chaos and stress in their daily life, and motivating them to enhance their quality of life. And so we created programs that fell under the umbrella of that. We have the Pathway to Harmony Aikido Youth Development Program, which goes into schools, which work with organizations, teaching leadership, character development, using Aikido as the hook. And so doing breathing meditation and other things. These kids can go for promotion, or people can go for promotion through these programs. But we created healthy eating and exercising programs because that was part of the stress and the things that was coming out of the community. We created, we have a summer program called PHASE, which is Pathway to Harmony Aikido Summer Enrichment. And in that, we keep kids from 6 to 10 weeks from 7-something in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. And in that program, those kids got a chance to learn Aikido, learn violence prevention or conflict resolution. We did restorative justice. We learned financial management, marketing, business marketing, but they also go to cultural sites. They go to museums. They go to City Hall. They go to the financial district. When they go to City Hall, they meet with the alderman and learn how the city works. They learn the business side. So all of this is bringing them into contact with something that can help them to change their lives, making resources available for them. But in that program, from that program, they graduate on to other things because we have passion days. And then through those passion days, we bring in somebody from a paleontologist or something that they have not experienced before. And that was my first dealings with the aviation. So we brought in pilot to begin to talk to them about being a pilot. So from that, we ended up creating an aviation STEM program where kids can get their pilot's license before they get out of high school. So, so that's Pathway to Harmony, Inc. And that started in 2006. Who we partner with? We partner with the city. We've had city programs, DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, community organizations, Southwest Youth Collaborative, Southside Help Center, Metropolitan Family Services. Those are services here. The YMCA, we work within the universities. There are people that contact us or contact me and talk to me about what's going on in their neck of the woods, and so we see what kind of program we can help implement, to help out. So whether it's a turnaround school or just going into the school system to teach, you can teach Aikido program, or we can just teach stress management, mindfulness. So today, what we're doing, and I know that you're going to probably ask me about this, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just say, Rick Sensei, I definitely want to recruit you for Aiki Extensions. You are the walking, talking, living embodiment of extending Aikido into the world and into people's lives. So we'll talk about that. That's for everybody, Aiki Extensions. Right now, we want to, experience kind of a training that you would do, and it was fascinating as you started to take me through that. So we'll take about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so for that. And then we have some really good questions that we want to discuss after we have that experience. So I guess you want us for training class.
Well, let me get you there to the training. This part of the training is, we have the program Pathway to Harmony, Mind and Body Energy Revitalizer. And this program is generally tailored to individuals or groups. And so depending on who the person is, it can be a young person, it can be an older person, but the program was created to help them get away from the stresses of the day, to give them a break, or give them some ways that they can deal with minimizing the stress that they're currently experiencing. So It is a class that has meditation, breathing meditation, light stretching exercise, a mixture of Tai Chi, Aikido, Qigong exercise. But every class begins with me talking about the 4 principles that we use. And I'll say the 4 principles, but I'm not going to go into them too deeply because I want to focus on one thing. We all know, at least in Aikido, we know about 4 principles: relax completely, extend ki, keep your 1 point body weight underside or weight underside. And for me to teach what I do, I had to modify that. And so it became relax completely, stay focused, keep your balance, and have a strong foundation. And so that first principle, relax completely, is so powerful because it is the beginning of empowerment. And this is how I reach both the young people and the adults, is to talk to them about their power, what connects them. And so at every beginning of a class, we will talk about a principle, but mostly we talk about what does it mean to relax completely, to relax your mind so that you can think, analyze a situation and do what's necessary for it, to relax your body so that it's fluid and it can respond and do exactly what your mind is asking it to do, no more, no less. And this gets you to the point of being able to control you in stressful situations. And so we start off there. And we start off by teaching breathing, the power of breath. How breathing is so important because it changes based on what's going on with you. So when a young person, and we'll keep it in the realm of young people for right now. When a young person who is experiencing so much stress, and you can imagine yourself, just imagine, you're not this adult right now, you're this child. And at this time, we're dealing with COVID and being isolated from friends, from family, from doing the things that you love doing, from seeing people that have your best interests. When you're in a situation where you don't feel like anybody in the house that's with you has your best interest.
Can you take us there, Sensei, as you did me?
Yeah. So for those that are listening, what I would like for you to do is imagine you just woke up. You just got up. You're 12 years old. And your first sound is somebody screaming, yelling, arguing. You're hungry because you really didn't eat last night. And so now you're just laying there and you're stuck. You're stuck. And you don't know what to do. So the first thing that I talk to that person about, that young child about, and the first thing I want you to do is to take a breath. While you're laying there in the bed, take a breath. Now I want you to get up. And I want you to find a space where you can have just a moment, maybe like in your bathroom. Go in the bathroom, close the door. I want you to stand there, close your eyes, and just breathe. I want you to slowly breathe in through your nose. Feel it coming in, and then breathe out through your mouth. I want you to relax yourself. Block out everything that's going on and only think about the feeling that you're receiving just from being able to breathe. Now, while your eyes are closed and you're getting more in tune with that breathing, I want you to start thinking or saying, maybe peace, be still. Because that's what you want right now. You just want some peace. Maybe you just say, I love you. And you repeat it with every breath. I love you. I love you. But you find something that's going to resonate with you. Just relax. Relax. Let your mind just stay there. There are no other sounds. only the sound of your breath and the thought of how much you love you. And so that's taking someone into that area. And now from there, after you've quieted yourself and calmed yourself, we're ready to begin the process of exercising your body. And so, give me a second, I'm gonna get up. And so, can you turn this camera for me to that direction? And so, I'm gonna just do a few of the exercises that we do. Sensei, can you see me? Because I'm kind of away from the camera right
Yes.
now. Okay.
Yes, we can see you.
And so now that they've wakened themselves up or they're beginning to focus more on themselves, we start off like with most classes with some light stretching. We stand up and we breathe. We've done our breathing meditation or our breath. You're at an angle, sir. Okay. But we've done our breathing. And so now we do exercise. And so I'm going to speed this real quick. We do our here and around, just like you would do in every martial art class, you do some exercise. But I'm going to focus now, I'm just going to jump onto the breathing portion of this. And so, sorry, can you see?
Yeah.
The breathing portion of this.
You just got choppy, whoever moving the camera. I'm not hearing you quite so well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
All right.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's better? Okay.
Yes.
I think that we're in a bad hot spot or spot. But
Yeah.
in
You've got
any
about
case-
5 minutes, just so you know.
Okay, all right, so the exercise of just being able to breathe out, because sometimes young people, they breathe fast or, you know, they're impatient. So we have to get them to do something. So I asked them, can you do this and take a deep breath? And after they've gotten better at just being this, it becomes. And then it becomes. And so the motions sync with your breathing. And I didn't see the earlier sessions, so I didn't see what you did as part of the Tai Chi or the Qigong or anything like that. But some of the exercises that we are doing is whether we're just swinging here, because kids like to move, swinging. And when they're finishing their swinging, because again, they like to move, we may do twirls. And now it's la 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 la, because they like to move. And we do rolls. So we will roll and roll, because they like to move. And then after they've done all this exercise, we're quieting them down. And we go back to breathing, breathing. And because they're doing this breathing, they begin to understand they were in control at that moment, in control of their bodies, in control of what they were doing. And they're so focused on what they're doing that they're not focused on what's going on out there in the world. And so that's how I began to connect with them. But the empowerment comes from them having a moment. So if it's a full class with a number of people, if there's a number of people that are in the class, we do a lot of different exercise. And so the exercise come from Aikido. It may be rowing exercise. It may be an 8-direction exercise. It may be just turning and turning. It may be that they're doing what? And that exercise, those exercises end up beginning to generate their energy, change their energy levels, especially for stroke victims, especially for those that are challenged physically, so that their arms only move to here and can't extend out all the way. But all the exercise that we do end up helping them with movement, helping to create more energy. And so the hardest thing that anyone does may be to just stand and breathe while they're trying to relax, you know, without being so conscious about somebody else that's around them and what they're doing. And that's about it. Most of the people that comment, they're self-conscious sometimes about how they look. And so getting them to focus on themselves becomes the thing. And them learning that it's okay to focus on themselves. It's okay for them to do the things that they need to do. Anyway, I know that I have not gone into the exercise, the full extent of exercise, because most of it is just, it's breathing. So most of it is getting into a young person's head. So, Sensei, you have a question before, I know you said 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, there are a couple of really great questions. And I just wanted to say, you know, it's so powerful to imagine waking up, say, you know, in your apartment, or maybe it's noisy or it's crowded or whatever it is, you know, go into the bathroom and do these exercises or center and breathe. I've done some of that work with actually with business people. And I've had people tell me that, or even golfers, you know, they're all stressed and, you know, going into the bathroom, getting in a little stall and doing some of the centering, lower upper body connections, all of this sort of thing. The de-stress work that you're talking about is so powerful. So there's a question. Here's a, let's see, question is, this is from Nilu Sensei. She's found that the dojo can be a common place for people to meet across all kinds of, you know, economic, race, gender, age, educational lines, but that can also cause conflict and present challenges that people must face regarding internal prejudices that they have, you know, towards each other. So any comments that you have on that in terms of working with those, you know, those kinds of stereotypes or barriers that come up between people and internal prejudices?
Yeah, you know how they say things happen with the leadership? It's about the tone that you set, and that's inside of all the classes. The tone that's set is one of cooperation. Learning to agree to disagree without being disagreeable is one thing, but I've experienced those things that she's talking about, and it depends on the person's reasons for being there. When we're talking about people in the Pathway to Harmony program, you know, I have gone into neighborhoods or gone into groups where maybe those young people did not want to learn Aikido or learn anything. In other words, they were disruptors. And it's how I come across to them. It's what I do to earn their trust. And getting them to see how this helps them, because everybody wants something that's going to help them. And so when they learn this and when they see the things that you can do, when I give them the success stories, when I talk to them about what people are capable of doing after they've begun training, then they're more interested. But sometimes there's a show me thing. And so Aikido can be graceful yet dynamic. So when I have other instructors with me and I'm doing this, or other students, and they see how we fall, they see how we roll, you know, those are things that they want to be able to do. So it's about finding the hook. So yeah, she's right. There are those challenges when people, and if we're talking about adults, yeah, those challenges exist. But then it is about the person and what it is that they want to get out of it. But the person that starts off the class generally sets the tone for what's accepted inside of the dojo.
These are such excellent points. And you know, a pathway to harmony strikes me as another phrase to say Aikido, really. And that, you know, we learned finally that, you know, we can just do this wherever we are. We don't have to go off into the bathroom or somewhere. It becomes more and more part of us. And that, you know, you as the leader or the teacher embodies that, and that sense of cooperation and respect. Sam had a question about if you could talk about your own sort of development and evolution through in Aikido and things you've experienced in different parts of you know, of your development in Aikido and where you are now with it.
Okay. And I'll try and be brief because I know how wordy I am. My beginning with Aikido was a skeptic because I was from karate and I just could not believe that anybody would, you know, that Aikido could actually, you could defend yourself with it. I went to a seminar or to a demonstration, asked to hit the person, and I could not hit them, although I was really trying because that's where my mindset was then. Got involved with it, was kind of reluctant at first because I think that maybe there were 3 Black people inside of the class. And it was about the setting that I was in. So I was learning, going cross-cultural, you know, learning and being around what I consider white people, you know, and so that was difficult at first because I had to get past myself and what I felt about them. And so as I saw people being friendly in the dojo, I learned who was friendly, who to stay away from, and who to be around, like you do with anything. And so my journey for the first year or 2 of Aikido was still trying to debunk it. And then I started understanding the philosophy more and more. And so I began to, I'm a reader, so I began to now read more about Aikido and what the intent was. And so it got to the point where Aikido was in every part of my life, in my business world, my school world, because I was in college, and my personal life. And so that's my involvement to see how it was beginning to affect me in the different areas of my life. And then as time passed by, it got to the point where I was doing more Aikido than anything else. You know, not even wanting to not dealing with some of the other issues that were going on because I was trying to understand me. Aikido helped me to master myself. And so those principles that I talk about, those principles are the keys to empowerment for yourself, to be able to relax completely, stay focused, keep my balance, and have a strong foundation. Each one of those things helped me to become who I am today. With all of my students, and I need to say this before I say anything else, because I want this message to go out. How I reached those young people was to give them a mission, and their mission, all of them will say, if I say, what's your mission? They say, Sensei, my mission every day is to enhance my quality of life. Because when I enhance my quality of life, I automatically enhance the quality of life of my family, my community, and the world. And then those kids now say, all because I made myself better. And so I tell them, I say, now project yourself up 150 years from now. And when you project yourself up, your great-great-grandchild is going to say, I stand on the shoulders of. And they're going to look back all the way back to you and what you did to build a strong foundation for their future. And so that's how Aikido has affected me, and that's how it's still affecting me, because I'm still preaching that message, that mission, giving students that mission, and they embrace it. One of the things that I like is that WGN-TV honored me with being one of Chicago's very own because of my work with young people. And I've got now more kids that have gotten scholarships to Yale, Princeton, Harvard, Morehouse, Hampton, UCLA, a whole host of historically Black colleges. And that was because they embraced the mission, not something I did, but because of them empowering themselves with that mission. So. Sam, I hope I answered your
Sensei,
question.
you just gave me chills thinking, I never think about it, project 150 years out. It's like, I'm not gonna be able to go, oh my God, that, my great grandkids, can trace back to something that I did that set them on a better path and set the world on a better path. That's so powerful. Thank you for that. I had a question about the word harmony, because, I work with people who aren't necessarily, I get to kid, I'm from California, so I can talk about harmony or things that seem kind of like that. But how you get people to buy into that? I mean, I say, well, a football team needs harmony or an orchestra, and they start getting into it. I'm just wondering how you work with that word.
Well, harmony is another word for peace, pathway to peace. And what I tell people, what I teach inside of those principles, the third principle, keep your balance. Keep your balance. And that keeping your balance is about finding your peace. And so what I tell students is that peace is just like a drug, that once you experience it, you want more of it. And you will then begin to do those things to find that peace in your life. So getting them to buy into it, it's not hard to get people to buy into wanting to be at peace, to flow. And so, earlier you asked me about how Aikido is received. People want peace. There's so much chaos in everything that's going on. If they can find a moment, if they can help somebody else to find a moment of peace, then they've done something.
That's so powerful. Again, we talk about what's the future of Aikido, and does Aikido really work as a martial art? And what's so special about Aikido really is that it is a pathway to peace, and the peace is powerful. Peace is something that, like you said, a drug. And it's so good. It's so good for us and for the world. Could we really, as you are doing, stay right in the center of what Aikido is about, and trust its power and trust its appeal. So thank you for that. We're just about out of time. I wonder, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I gave you those principles: relax completely, stay focused, keep your balance. When we get to stay focused, the students learn, have an agenda so that you don't fall into somebody else's agenda, because there's always somebody preparing one for you, whether you know it or not. And they understand that. So the agenda is peace. The agenda is to enhance their quality of life. Whatever the agenda is, that's what they're going to stay focused on. And so this is easy. This part is easy. And that's why I think that Aikido is going to be, is much needed today, more than ever, because of those principles that we follow. And I think that earlier when you mentioned about the other arts, well, with the other arts, kids know how to fight. They already know how to fight. They just don't know how to stop sometimes. And this is about them learning how to control themselves enough to stop the fighting. And so that's where I want to leave it at. We've got to stop the fighting.
That's it's the perfect message, and for this whole seminar, for everything. Thank you so very much for that. The word peace in Hebrew, I always say people know the word shalom, but it comes from the root word shalem, which means wholeness. So I think that's really what we're doing in Aikido. And you've just brought us to such a whole point. Thank you so very much, Sensei.
Sensei,
you're getting a lot of love and appreciation from everybody. I think we can all just say, domo arigato. Thank you.